Let's get things started. Ready? Go!
Hello and welcome to Bounding into Comics. My name is John Trent. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief at Bounding into Comics. Today I got a story about Man of Steel actor Harry Lennix, who played General Swanwick in the film, and then he went on to portray Martian Manhunter in Zack Snyder's Justice League, recently penning an op-ed where he demanded Will Smith return his Oscar for Best Actor and claimed the Academy's decision to ban Smith for 10 years, quote, lays bare the shallowness of Hollywood moral. After Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscar ceremony, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences President David Rubin and CEO Don Hudson sent a letter to Academy members announcing, quote, the board has decided for a period of 10 years from April 8, 2022, Mr. Smith shall not be permitted to attend any Academy events or programs in person or virtually, including but not limited to the Academy Awards. They concluded the letter writing, this action we are taking today in response to Will Smith's behavior is a step toward a larger goal of protecting the safety of our performers and guests and restoring trust in the Academy. We also hope this can begin a time of healing and restoration for all involved and impacted. Lennix penned an op-ed for Variety titled, Will Smith Must Return His Oscar to Restore the Award's Honor, responding to the Academy's decision to ban Smith for 10 years, but still allow him to be nominated and win awards. Within the op-ed, Lennix didn't beat around the bush. In the first paragraph, he declared, the Motion Picture Academy's decision to ban Will Smith from Oscar ceremonies and events for 10 years as discipline for slapping Chris Rock is little more than an extended timeout for a playground bully. It's a toothless penalty that lays bare the shallowness of Hollywood morals. I mean, if this is just showing you what the shallowness of Hollywood morals are, I mean, where have you been lately, man? Come on. This is not out of the ordinary for them. This is to be expected. They don't punish people for bad behavior. All you have to do is look at the Harvey Weinstein scandal to see the truth of Hollywood. They're all about immoral behavior as long as no one is actually exposing it. And they're going to keep going along with it until it truly gets exposed. And we're got to keep exposing this absolute heinous, immoral behavior that comes from Hollywood. I mean, it's in all of their movies too. I mean, you can't miss this immoral behavior coming from Hollywood. So the fact that them just banning Smith for 10 years is somehow lays bare the shallowness of Hollywood morals is a little over-exaggeration, given the fact that there are way more horrible things that are going on with Hollywood that lay bare the shallowness of their morals, given the fact that they don't actually have any. That's not to say there aren't people that work in Hollywood that have some. I'm sure there are. But for the most part, it appears that most of the people there do not have a strong moral compass. Or if they do, they actively reject what is right and good and embrace what is wrong and evil. But nevertheless, later in the op-ed, Lennix also criticized the Oscars' performance as a whole, describing it as profane. He wrote, given the coarseness of pop culture in the age of social media, it was no surprise that much of this year's Oscar proceedings were frequently profane. So he is actually kind of calling out the current state of culture, so I do appreciate him for that. So that is good that he did acknowledge that, and he does acknowledge that a lot of the ceremony is profane in general. But again, that points to the fact that their discipline for Will Smith is laying bare the shallowness of Hollywood morals is just absolutely a ridiculous statement, given the fact that he's actually calling the ceremony profane in the same article that he's trying to make a big deal about their decision to ban Will Smith, but still allow him to be nominated and win awards and not take his Best Actor award from him. While Lennix would criticize the Academy for their punishment, he spent the majority of his op-ed targeting Smith, noting that the actor, quote, needs to express mail his golden trophy back to the Academy and publicly state something to the effect of, out of respect for the 95 years of honor conferred upon this award, I do not in good conscience feel worthy of being its custodian. I actually disagree with him there. Just because he slapped Chris Rock at the award ceremony does not mean he wasn't deserving of the award for Best Actor. Just because you do something wrong should not take away from something that you earned for something else. That's not to say you don't get punished for what you did was wrong, but why should you be taken away, something be taken away from you for something that you did that was right, just because you happen to do something that was wrong, and the two are kind of disconnected. So I disagree with him there. That actually doesn't really make any sense to me. So I actually kind of agree with what the Academy did. I probably would have put some kind of fine or something like that as well. And I mean, what else can you do? The guy had already resigned from the Academy anyways. So it's really hard for them to really give some kind of punishment. I think the real punishment will be whether or not he gets more acting jobs and stuff like that in the future from Hollywood, or if they will be forgiving, and hopefully that Will Smith will change his ways. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But Lennix would specifically take issue with Smith's acceptance for Best Actor, which he won after he slapped Chris Rock. During this acceptance speech, Smith said, "Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family. In this time in my life, in this moment, I am overwhelmed by what God is calling on me to do and be in this world." Smith would later reference the supernatural in his speech, saying, "I'm being called on in my life to love people and to protect people and to be a river to my people." At one point, he even touched on the advice he received from Denzel Washington after he slapped Chris Rock, saying, "Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you." So he touched on the supernatural quite a bit during his acceptance speech. And this is what Lennix took issue with. Referencing the remark about God, Lennix wrote, "In couching his acceptance speech as somehow submitting to the will of God, Smith abdicated personal accountability." He would later add, "It is an insult to the honor of God to assign him any part of the tawdry episode. To argue that some deterministic force was at play is to deny the sad fact that the affair was purely human. To be sure, a grave moral failure occurred, but the psychology and philosophy that underpins this ongoing spectacle can very ably be explained as an act of free will." So I think Lennix here is misinterpreting what Smith was saying during the acceptance speech. I'm not sure that he was saying that him slapping Chris Rock was what God wanted him to do. I don't think that is what Will Smith was saying during the acceptance speech. I think what Will Smith was saying is that he talked to Denzel Washington. I'm hoping he realized what he had done was wrong, and he's actively going to try and change how he's living his life that led up to him slapping Chris Rock over a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith. And I'm hoping that that is what Will Smith was talking about. He's talking about moving forward after this slap. And it seems that Lennix is reading the situation, reading the speech a different way than how I'm reading it. He thinks that he was seemingly saying that Will Smith slapping Chris Rock was an act of God, which I don't think that is what Will Smith was saying during that acceptance speech. Again, just to reiterate, I think he was saying that he realizes what he did was wrong. He had that discussion with Denzel Washington. Tyler Perry was there as well. They were clearly talking about God and the supernatural and about that act. And then you have Smith accepting the award. I know he doesn't apologize to Chris Rock during the acceptance speech. He probably should have, but I get that you're still kind of in that heated moment there. You probably, maybe he's not ready to seek forgiveness at that point or even apologize at that point, and he had to take a little bit longer to do that. But I do think that he was talking about moving forward and what God wants him to do with his life. And that's something that God does do, not to get like preachy on you guys, but God does take evil acts and brings good out of them. You see that with Christ's sacrifice on the cross, one of the most evil act committed ever. And what happens is he descends into hell, defeats death, and rises again on the third day, which we're about to celebrate in Easter. And that happens quite a bit, not just through Christ, but through a lot of other saints and the apostles and stuff like that. Aside from Smith's discussion of God and the supernatural in his acceptance speech, Lennix also specifically took issue with Smith slapping Chris Rock, describing it as, quote, an existential crisis for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. He added, the incident was such a jolt to societal norms that it will gnaw away at our national conscience until somehow properly atoned for. Finally, he concluded the op-ed stating, the only hope for a justifiable grace must involve Smith voluntarily returning his award for Best Actor. Again, I've kind of already addressed that. I don't think Smith needs to return his award. They deemed him the Best Actor for King Richard. I haven't seen that movie, so I can't really judge. I do know that most of these Best Actor, Best Picture awards now are usually just vanity awards. They are basically participation trophies, and you're not usually judging people on merit anymore. But that is beside the point. As far as him describing it as an existential crisis, I disagree with that as well. The bigger existential crisis for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is the fact that their whole ceremony is, again, participation trophies, and it seems to be deemed by politics, specifically left-wing politics, and how left-wing you are. And I think that is the bigger existential crisis for the Academy Awards, and you kind of see that with their ratings dropping, and then people aren't really even watching any of these movies. Most people haven't even seen the movies that are rated for Best Picture. And then the incident was such a jolt to societal norms that will gnaw away at our national conscience until somehow properly atoned for. I disagree with that as well. It's probably just a passing news story. And I mean, we've been talking about it for quite a bit now, but I do think it will eventually recede, and people will realize that there are better things to do with their time than focusing on Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. So those are my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you think. What do you make of Lennix's op-ed here and his comments about Will Smith, the Oscars? Let me know in the comments below. My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounding into Comics.